Sometimes the desire to travel can become oh so overwhelming. And believe me when I say that we have all definitely been there. Sometimes you feel like you're sliding into that everyday slum of work, work, and no play. You've been bitten by that cute little travel bug, and nothing seems to satisfy your happiness, and it is constantly killing your buzz. If this sounds all too familiar, then this is the episode for you. Hey, I'm Steph, and I'm obsessed with all things travel, marketing, branding, and helping you stand out from the crowd. In just under 2 years, I went from being a home-based travel agent with zero clue how to make it work in the digital world to launching an international ranking travel podcast and creating an online course to help travel agents in lead generation. Here's one thing I know for sure. There has never in the history of the world been a better time to create the travel business you've always wanted. All you need is an actionable strategy and someone to show you the way. Picture this. We're going to spend the next hour of our time together at the Swim Up Pool Bar, where over a cocktail, we deep dive into travel-related topics, mixed with a little classroom training. This show is dedicated to encouraging you to step outside of your comfort zone and into your travel business. I'll show you how I did it and how you can too. Hit subscribe now and let's get into it. If you're a travel agent wanting to onboard your perfect fit clients into your biz, download my free cheat sheet for lead generation systems you can use right now. Head to stephaniemyers.academy/cheat sheet. You're listening to Unplug in Paradise, the podcast. Hello. Welcome to Unplug in Paradise. My name is Stephanie Myers and I'm your travel agent and host. I am so grateful to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. This episode means the absolute world to me. Travel mindset has never been more important than what it is right now. And it can be as simple as doing some things around the house. So, like buying a new palm tree because I can't seem to keep palm trees alive and I should probably invest in a fake one. Those who know me will definitely laugh at this one because I'm chucking out palm trees all the time. It's not that I forget to water them. It's just that where I am, it's actually quite dry and that's the excuse that I'm sticking to. So anyway, I would like to just do a bit of a shout out to my new followers on Instagram. Thank you so much for engaging in my posts and also taking the time to DM me and say hello. So I do want to say a big thank you to all of you and also looking forward to this episode and hope you get a lot more out of it than some of the other resources out there and helps having a personal perspective on it as well. So if you'd like to join me, I'd like to recognise the generations of the local Aboriginal people of the Bundjalung Nation who have lived in and derived their physical and spiritual needs from the forests, rivers, lakes and streams of this beautiful valley over thousands of years as the traditional owners and custodians of these lands. Now, if you're a daydreamer like me, then you will totally get today's vibe. We are here chatting all about how you can maximize your travel mindset, what you can do to create that shift to make it a part of your everyday life every single day. Now, I bet you're asking yourself all the questions. How can I increase my travel mindset and why is it so damn important if I'm looking to travel or make travel a big part of my goals for the next few years? This is where we break it down into bite-sized pieces. But before we dive in, I want to offer a disclaimer. This episode is designed for the super travelers, whether you're experienced and have traveled extensively or you've done your research and you're in the middle of planning your ultimate escape, but it could be a few years down the track yet. I guess you're figuring out right now that your wonder list is growing extensively, and that is awesome. That's what we want. If either of these sound like you, then you're definitely in the right place. So, what are we waiting for? Let's jump in. The number one thing I want to concentrate on in today's episode is the topic of mindset and how we all know how powerful mindset is, right? There are plenty of catchphrases around, and if you want to achieve the best of what you want in your life, for example, one thing my dad always told me growing up was if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. Or the variation of that, and one that seems to be my dad's all time favorite, is you can convince yourself of anything, mate. Which is why I've created the Mindful Mud Map. It's a really easy 3-step tool guide to unleashing your true travel personality. And the number one method I use to start building the foundation with my clients and formulating that killer mindset to enhance your travel vision. Because what we really want is to strip everything back, yes? Over the years, I've seen flamboyant adverts all over the travel sector. You know, book now, it's $7.99, it includes flights, everything, and it's all flashing in your face, and you're all feeling all the pressure and all the feels and just wanting to go ahead and do all the things. So it is definitely a vision, but these adverts aren't necessarily your vision, or they could be. So that's why we need to strip it back. And that might sound scary, but everything you think you know about travel planning, today we're going to be starting from scratch. So, what's the usual first thing that we do when we're starting to plan out a trip? We're setting up our goals and we're doing all the things that we feel at the time is the right thing to do. But all we're doing is setting and forgetting. Am I right? I can't tell you how many times I've seen this over the years. People with really great intentions to create insanely new experience for themselves, but then they totally flake. And here's a classic example. If your friends have invited you along on a girls' weekend trip away and you're keen to go, and, you know, who doesn't love to hang out with your girlfriends and all your favorite people for an entire weekend, right? I think that would be my ultimate dream right about now. But then your cousin talks you into a matching tattoo, a night out on the town, and the chance to eat all the foods and drink as many cocktails as you want. You end up spending all your money on that impulse rather than saving for an incredibly amazing holiday with the chance to closely connect with your closest friends. Now, I know that example may seem a little elaborate, but for the purpose of the demonstration, it just goes to show how impulsive humans can be when we're not 100% passionate on something that is meant for us. And we can be easily distracted by that YOLO status of, you know, we need to do all the things and we need to do it here and we need to do it now. Goals are great as well, but they aren't going to create themselves. So it's super important to dig a little deeper and really double down on creating a plan that is not only actionable, but simple enough to follow through. Keeping in mind that sometimes our goals can be really scary and overwhelming. And of course they are, and they should be, because most goals, when it comes to travel, have always made me really scared and frustrated and really overwhelmed. And I get totally, all caught up in everything. And it is hard at times when you don't have the slightest clue on where to start, especially when it comes to a new destination. And that's where having a strategic process in place to help make those hard decisions somewhat easier. But first, we're going to get messy before we get clear. Yep, we're going to start off by doing a brain dump. It's not the best word. I wish there was a, more sexier word for it, but that's what it is. It's about getting all your thoughts, your dreams, your desires, and visuals for your trip out on paper. Keep in mind that this will ultimately look different from each holiday to the next, as of course, each holiday will bring its own goals, have its own list of things that you want to do to tick off. If you journal in the morning, it's really good to scribble down a few ideas of what travel experiences you want. And once you've done that, you can then start working on the Mindful Mud Map, which consists of 3 steps. Number 1 is purpose. Now that you've got everything out on paper, you may be able to see a little bit of a pattern happening. You'll be able to find out what you desire and be able to uncover your why. You'll be flipping the lid on your passions and finding what really aligns with you and your truth. Sit with it for as long as you need to if you're unclear. However, if you're going to be impulsive, I'd rather you do it in this step before going on to the next one. So next up, we've got number 2 is goal vibe. What do I envision as the vibe around my goals? Does it excite me? Does it light me up? Do they help me get out of bed in the morning? Are they big enough that the sun in the sky feels a little scared and starts second guessing himself? Jokes aside, this is where you leave no stone unturned and the sky has no limits. Imagine what that would feel like for you to have an experience that would have this amount of impact. And lastly, is number 3, journey fulfillment. Put yourself in your shoes at the end of your trip. What will the combination of your purpose, which is number 1, and your goal vibe, which is number 2, what would that look like? Ask yourself, have I achieved what I was in search for? Am I feeling amazing, inspired, motivated, different, rejuvenated? And most importantly, was that trip, adventure, or holiday meant for me? By putting these 3 simple steps in place, soon enough, you'll be looking at the world of travel a little bit differently. So here's a challenge for you. We'll start this on a smaller scale, but I want you to have a look at Google Maps. Check it out where you live and see if there is a place within a 30-minute radius, say, that you've never explored before. And going to the town and having lunch at the local pub, maybe one time 10 years ago, I don't think that's counts as exploring. So if you haven't had much to do with these places, I would probably say that those are definitely should be on your list of places to explore. So it doesn't have to be a full day. It can be half a day or a couple of hours or whatever you can spare, but it is important that you go to a place that you haven't been to before. And I want you to follow the steps in the Mindful Mud Map, which we'll put in the show notes as well for you to download so you can see exactly what I mean. But I want you to practice working through this for this small little day trip out. And when you're on your day out, I would really love to see where you go, what you do, and what your number 1 key takeaway from your big day was. Whether it was something you learned, something you felt, or somewhere you found. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Make sure you tag me in your posts and Instagram stories at travel.by.stephanie and share where your adventure takes you. I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us today on episode 28 on how to maximize your travel mindset with goal setting. You can find today's show notes over on travelbystephanie.com.au/28. And in the show notes, as promised, will be a copy of the Mindful Mud Map. So you'll be able to go in there and download that for yourself, print it out, hang it up somewhere in your house, whether you magnetize it onto your fridge or pop it in your office somewhere that you can see it and somewhere that it's going to be front of mind, because I really feel passionate about people really finding things and trips and experiences that heavily align with who they are, what their passions are, and where they want to go in the future. So we are doing the challenge on a smaller scale, but it is no different if you're doing it on a weekend trip away, traveling within Australia, or then heading out internationally. So the principle's still the same. So the more that we practice it now, and when the borders open, then you will be able to be quite experienced on how it works. And then you're getting the most out of your trip. If you've liked today's episode, I would love it if you've subscribed or followed. And if you're happy with what I'm doing over here, I would love it if you left me a rating and review. You can do a review over on Apple Podcasts. I don't think you can do it on Spotify yet. So if you're an iPhone user, Apple Podcasts is where it's at. Until next time, stay safe and looking forward to hearing about all your adventures. We'll talk soon. Bye.
And sometimes my mommy just got it. He's a travel agent all day. He works so hard. He's a travel agent and loves me.